Imagine waking up one day and everything costs exactly the same as it did yesterday: your morning coffee, your groceries, even your rent. Sounds perfect, right? No surprises, no price hikes. But why can't prices just stay the same? Why does inflation exist, and is zero inflation actually a good thing? Let's jump straight into it. Inflation is the rate at which prices for goods and services rise over time. It's often seen as a villain because it makes things more expensive. But here's the twist: a little inflation is actually a sign of a healthy economy. Think about it this way: economies grow. People earn more, companies produce more, new technologies emerge, and demand for products increases. When demand grows faster than supply, prices tend to rise. That's inflation, prices adjusting naturally as the economy expands. If prices never changed, if inflation was zero, that might sound stable, but it would create problems. Why? Because zero inflation often means stagnant growth. Businesses wouldn't have incentives to innovate or invest if they can't charge a little more over time. Workers might resist wage increases if prices don't go up, potentially slowing consumption. It's a cycle. But what about deflation? That's when prices actually fall over time. Sounds like a bargain shopper's dream, but deflation can trigger serious economic trouble. When prices drop, consumers delay purchases, expecting even lower prices later. Companies earn less revenue, forcing layoffs and cutting investments. This vicious cycle can push an economy into a deep recession or even depression. Japan's lost decade is a prime example of this deflationary trap. So, inflation, when kept in check, actually helps maintain economic momentum. Central banks, like the Federal Reserve in the US, aim for a moderate inflation rate, usually around 2% annually. This target encourages spending and investing today rather than hoarding cash for tomorrow. It's about balancing growth with price stability. Now, if inflation spikes too high, that's when problems arise. Rapid price increases erode purchasing power, hurt savers, and create uncertainty. But moderate inflation provides a kind of lubricant that keeps the economy running smoothly. Another important point: inflation affects debts and wages. If inflation is steady, borrowers repay loans with money that's worth slightly less, easing debt burdens. Workers expect wages to rise to keep up with living costs. This dynamic keeps money circulating and economies vibrant. Why do prices rise differently across products? Because inflation isn't uniform. Some sectors face supply shortages or increased costs, pushing prices up faster. For example, gas prices can surge due to geopolitical tensions or natural disasters. Food prices fluctuate with weather and harvest yields. Meanwhile, technology often gets cheaper over time as innovation reduces costs. Can governments or central banks fix inflation? They try. Central banks adjust interest rates, the cost of borrowing money, to influence spending and investment. Raising rates can cool an overheated economy, slowing inflation. Lowering rates can stimulate growth when inflation is too low. but it's a tricky balancing act. Push too hard, and you risk recession or runaway inflation. In today's world, global factors complicate inflation control. Supply chain disruptions, pandemics, wars, and policy decisions ripple through economies, making price stability a constant challenge. So, why can't prices just stay the same? Because economies are living, breathing systems that grow, shrink, and adapt. Price changes reflect that movement. Inflation, within a healthy range, encourages spending, investment, innovation, and wage growth. Zero inflation or deflation, on the other hand, can stall economies, cause job losses, and create financial stress. Understanding this helps make sense of why central banks focus on price stability rather than price stagnation. It's not about freezing prices in place, but about managing inflation so it's predictable and moderate. In short, a little price change is a sign of life in the economy, a signal that money is flowing, businesses are growing, and people are working. The goal isn't to eliminate inflation, but to keep it from getting out of control. That's why prices can't just stay the same, and why that's actually a good thing for our wallets and the world around us.